Appreciate you clicking on this video, my movie peeps. I've got movie news to discuss, and I'm going to tell it to you. Some of the things we'll be discussing here today, guys, is we now know who is going to be playing Pa and Ma Kent in James Gunn's Superman and what that could mean for the movie. We also have Steven Spielberg talking about his next film, and it looks like he's returning to possibly blockbusters. This report going around that Sam Raimi is being seriously considered to direct Spider-Man 4, not Tobey's Spider-Man 4, but Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4. Oh, we're going to be diving into that along with so much more. So you guys know the drill. Leave your opinions down below. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And well, let's just go ahead and dive into it. One exciting thing we got to look forward to this week is going to be the release of the trailer for Transformers 1. Even though CinemaCon happened just last week and the attendees there got to see the first trailer and a scene from Transformers 1, we now know the public is going to be getting a similar version of that trailer released tomorrow. It got announced in a little video with Chris Hemsworth, who is doing the voice of Optimus Prime, and Brian Tyree Henry, who's voicing Megatron. They're even doing this unique marketing technique of shooting the trailer up into space and having it play there.
And that's not all. We're launching it where? In space.
I guess that's kind of like when, you know, Optimus shot his message at the end of the first Transformers movie.
I am Optimus Prime, and I send this message to any surviving Autobots.
Can you imagine we meet contact with aliens because they saw the trailer to Transformers 1 and they're like,
"Hey, yo, we'd like a piece of this movie, please. By the way, we exist."
it could happen. But I'm very excited to see this first trailer for two specific reasons. For one, the attendees at CinemaCon, some of them did mention they did not expect this movie to be that lighthearted, that jokey. One person who saw the footage compared it to the tone of a Minions movie, and I was like, that's not really the tone I was hoping for with Transformers 1. But the second and kind of most important part of me is the animation, man. I want to see what this movie looks like. We know they have big plans for a whole trilogy, and they said that if they tried doing this movie in live action, it would cost billions of dollars. So I'm hoping this animation style is going to be one that really stands out, and we don't get a bunch of people going, "Nah, reminds me of Spider-Verse." Feels like anytime we come out with a unique animation style, someone goes, "Meh, reminds me of Spider-Verse." Come on. No, it doesn't. Either way, that's something to look forward to. So tomorrow, trailer for Transformers 1 will be out, and you know we'll be talking about it. So be subscribed for the channel for that, and let me know what you look forward to seeing that trailer. Next up here, we got some reports about what the greatest directors in Hollywood are going to be working next, starting off with Martin Scorsese. Starting off with the first movie that it looks like Martin Scorsese is working on is a Frank Sinatra biopic that'll star Leonardo DiCaprio with Jennifer Lawrence playing the second wife of Frank Sinatra. For my younglings out there, you can just YouTube the scene of the mouse from the first Sing movie. That's a Frank Sinatra original right there. But no, I love the sound of this. Although I like a lot of Frank Sinatra songs, I don't know anything about the man's life. And well, Leonardo DiCaprio is one of those actors. I'm gonna watch whatever he does. Jennifer Lawrence being attached is also awesome. So excited for that. And then immediately after he's done making that movie, Martin Scorsese is gonna jump into making his Jesus movie. That's right. And well, who we getting cast as Jesus? This article claims two actors are up in the running, Miles Teller and Andrew Garfield. If you know me and you've been subscribed here, you've seen maybe 2 or 3 videos of mine, you know who my pick is. You know who I want to play Jesus. There is only one man. You know, I was really sad when I found out Andrew Garfield was no longer going to be playing Frankenstein in Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein movie. But going from Frankenstein to Jesus, well, I think that's an upgrade, right? How do you feel about the Frank Sinatra biopic, and who would you like to play Jesus? You know, Andrew Garfield or Miles Teller? And well, in that same Variety article, there was a sentence that let it drop what Steven Spielberg's next big project is going to be, and man, I am excited. So here we had a statement that said, according to Variety, Spielberg is likely going to make his next project a UFO film based on his own original idea. David Koepp is writing the screenplay according to the outlet's sources. All right, I just heard the words UFO, original idea, Steven Spielberg. Whoa, finally, man. In my mind, Steven Spielberg is still one of the greatest directors of all time, but I feel like lately his name doesn't come up in the conversation as often. I also feel like the Steven Spielberg name doesn't mean that much to people anymore, whereas if you put the name Christopher Nolan on a movie, you're pretty much guaranteed for that to make a lot of money. And I feel like that used to be a status Steven Spielberg had, but over the past couple of years, he's really focused in on more dramatic Hollywood films that aren't exactly commercial, but still really great movies. And well, as someone who loves Steven Spielberg, particularly his blockbuster years with like Jurassic Park, E.T., Jaws, Indiana Jones, you name it, I'm like, man, when is Steven Spielberg gonna get back into that realm of making a big original idea concept and just go at it? The last film he technically did it with was Ready Player One. And although I feel like it maybe didn't have the impact he was hoping for at the time, where it just got decent reviews and did okay at the box office, I feel like over the years, Ready Player One is one of those movies we are constantly referencing, we're constantly talking about, maybe because it's starting to really reflect a future we're headed towards, or there's just a lot of movies that throw out random IPs onto the screen and we're like, oh, this feels like another Ready Player One movie. Whatever the case may be, I enjoyed movies like that from Steven Spielberg, and I just would love for him to get back into that world. So now we're having it here, a UFO movie, and he is no stranger to alien or UFO films. His resume is filled with them, from E.T., Close Encounters of the Third Kind. If you want to count the ending of Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he's had a fascination with alien beings, and to see him dive into another movie to explore that topic, give it to me. I also love that it's being written by David Koepp. He's also someone who wrote the first two Jurassic Park movies for Steven Spielberg. He is also writing the newest one that is currently being made. So that kind of lends me to believe it's a high concept sci-fi movie and not some sort of Hollywood drama. Although if it ends up being that, I'll still watch it. I'll probably still enjoy it. But like I said, I miss a Steven Spielberg blockbuster. So yeah, we'll see what route exactly he goes with, because that's a really vague term, just UFOs. It could really be anything. But is any other movie fan excited that Steven Spielberg is going to come out with an original idea about UFOs? Moving on here, the past 2 days, we got casting announcements for James Gunn's Superman, and it's some pretty iconic Superman characters in the world, the Kents. Over the last 2 days, we got the announcement that Jonathan Kent is going to be played by Pruitt Taylor Vince, and Martha Kent is going to be played by Neva Howell. Now, I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. These were casting choices I did not even see coming. I see a lot of people going, I wonder why James Gunn isn't picking well-known celebrities or actors for these roles and kind of going with lesser-known names. Because I'll admit, these aren't names that I know right off the bat. When I go to their IMDb page, it looks like I have seen them in a couple of things, but nothing ever really stuck out to me. And I'm not doubting their work as actors. I feel like if James Gunn picked them, there's probably a good reason for it. But although unexpected, I do love this casting choice. The other interesting thing about this for me is it does let you know that, Pa Kent is looking to be alive by the time Superman is Superman. There's very rarely a live action or a modern interpretation of a Superman story where Pa Kent is still alive. It's almost become part of his origin story, similar to how like Uncle Ben needs to die as soon as Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man. But there are comic book runs where Martha Kent and Pa Kent are very much alive and are in fact giving advice to Clark Kent about how to go about being Superman. I know in the book I read, Birthright, Pa Kent is very essential in helping Clark kind of build his Superman identity, as well as his Clark Kent identity at work and looking like a fumbling doofus that no one would ever suspect to be this almighty hero. And it feels like that might still be a large part of it here. But this is where I throw it off to you guys. You see the casting choices for Jonathan and Martha Kent. Are you happy with it? How do you think this will play into the story? Curious to hear from you. But all right, let's get into this giant Spider-Man news that definitely got my spider senses a tingling. So currently right now, Spider-Man fans are just waiting for a big update on Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4. We know Sony for some reason is really wanting to fast track this movie and get it released sometime next year in 2025. The only behind the scenes updates that we've been getting is that Marvel and Sony were at odds, where Marvel, Kevin Feige wanted to make a low stakes grounded movie, street level story with Daredevil in there, and Sony were just much more interested in getting as much money as possible and possibly just bringing back Andrew and Tobey Maguire. Well, with whatever the case, we've heard from multiple sources that they're still wanting to start filming this movie by the end of this year. And it's so interesting with that because we have no idea who's writing Spider-Man 4 and also who's directing the movie. We've heard a couple of names come out there, but every name that gets brought up ends up becoming busy with another project. Drew Goddard recently got announced to be directing a new Matrix movie. Justin Lin, who did Fast and Furious movies, is now busy doing One Punch Man. So really, that's the thing Spider-Man fans are waiting for, right? Is who is directing Spider-Man 4? 4? Who is going to be the person to give the flair and style to Tom Holland? And man, a report came out saying it's Sam Raimi, and I almost lost my marbles. Now, the report is coming from World of Real, which honestly, I have not seen been a reliable source. Maybe they've gotten one or two things right in the past, but I mainly see them getting stuff wrong. So I honestly say take this with a grain of salt, and the only reason I'm entertaining the idea is because it seems more plausible than you think. For one, Sam Raimi has already worked with the MCU and Marvel with Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, and whether you like that movie or not, I felt like he did add a visual flair to it, and it made a lot of money, more than a lot of recent MCU movies. You also have to think about if Sony is seriously wanting to bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, well then who better to help those characters out than Sam Raimi, who has already worked with Tobey Maguire. But also because this movie, no matter what it ends up being, grounded or multiverse story, it is at least going to be a Spider-Man movie taking place in New York City. And Sam Raimi would be such a dream to be attached to Tom Holland's movies because, like I said, I like Tom Holland, I like his story and where they're going, but I just feel his movies lack that special visual flair. Seeing Sam Raimi give Tom Holland that visual flair, oh dude, I would be so in love. But I have to be real with myself. I don't think this is actually happening. I don't think it's going to be Sam Raimi. I feel like it's going to be a super out-of-the-box unknown director. My biggest fear would be that it's John Watts again, and although he's done nothing but a great, suitable job so far, I really don't want John Watts back. I want some new passion and flair thrown into Spider-Man 4. I guess I'm also just rooting for this Sam Raimi story to be true, even though I really don't think it's going to be, because I've been seeing all the people excited and happy who went to go rewatch Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1 in theaters since it came back and Sony's having that re-release, and it's just like there's clips of people clapping in the theaters, laughing, cheering, and it's not just nostalgia. It's like that movie holds up and is still amazing. Not to mention how worried I am with just Sony rushing this thing. Like, you have a film date set. You're gonna start filming this thing, but it's like, we don't know who's writing it, who's directing it. This is giving me those same scary vibes I had whenever we heard about the new Jurassic World movie, where they had a director, but because the director wanted to throw in some of his ideas, they were like, actually, you're fired because we can't have you throw in ideas. We need to get this movie shot and out there now. That's the kind of feel I'm getting with. Is like the studio already knows what kind of movie it needs to be and what they want it to look like. They just need some pony boy to actually just make the thing, attach their name, and get it released. And that just doesn't sound passionate to me. But we'll wait and see, man. For all we know, Sony could actually be hard at work. They have names. That happens all the time, where maybe they already have the person they're going to direct and write in the movie, and they were hired 4 or 5 months ago. It just wasn't public knowledge yet. So we'll wait and see, man. But dude, by this summer, I need to know who is directing Spider-Man 4, please. Let me know what you guys think about this and who you think will end up being the name attached to direct Spider-Man 4. But that is all movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.